What if the universe wasn't just, physical stuff? What if it was more like a mind, a huge cosmic mind?
It's a really wild idea to start with, isn't it? That maybe there are these hidden laws, ancient rules that shape everything.
Exactly. From like our own thoughts way out to the stars. And that these laws might hold the keys to, I don't know, personal power, transformation. It's something I'm genuinely excited to dig into today.
Me too. It's this idea that there's a kind of blueprint for existence, and if you could just understand it, you could navigate life, well, better, with more intention.
Absolutely. So welcome everyone to this deep dive on the Deep Seek Diaries. Today we are plunging into a really foundational text. It's one that's massively shaped modern spirituality, New Age thinking.
We're talking about the Kybalion, right? A study of the Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Published way back in 1908, supposedly by these mysterious 3 initiates. And wow, did it become a cornerstone for people searching for deeper meaning?
Yeah, it really did. So our goal today, our mission, is to unpack its main ideas, look into where it actually came from, spoiler, it's interesting, and check out just how influential it's been. We want to help you figure out why this little book punches so far above its weight in metaphysical circles, and maybe if it's something you'd want to check out yourself.
Totally. And if you're the kind of person who loves grabbing knowledge fast, those aha moments.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to understand where a lot of modern spiritual or self-help ideas actually trace back to, then yeah, this deep dive is definitely for you. We're going to pull out the biggest insights, help connect the dots, and maybe give you a fresh angle on reality and your own potential. Before we go on, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video. This podcast is known as the Deep Seek Diaries, and you can find us on the major social media platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Linked in the description section are all the resources in discussion today, including books, websites, and so on. Please go through our terms and conditions as soon as you can. Now sit back and enjoy the podcast.
Okay, so let's dive right into that mystery we hinted at. The authorship. The 3 initiates.
Right. That anonymity was like a huge part of its appeal early on, wasn't it? It gave it this air of ancient secret wisdom, like it was passed down through the ages.
It absolutely did. 4 decades people were fascinated by that. But eventually the truth came out, and it's pretty much irrefutable now. It wasn't 3 ancient masters.
No, it was one guy.
One very busy guy, William Walker Atkinson.
Yeah, a major figure in the New Thought movement back in the early 20th century. Prolific doesn't even begin to cover it.
Atkinson, born 1862, American lawyer turned occultist, publisher. He ran the Yogi Publication Society in Chicago. The man apparently wrote over 100 books in his later years.
100? Under all sorts of names too, right?
Oh yeah, not just his own. He used pseudonyms like Yogi Ramacharaka, Magus Incognito, Theron Q. Dumont, and the one we're talking about, 3 initiates.
So why? Why the secrecy, especially for the Kybalion? It's fascinating.
Well, the thinking is, back then, turn of the 20th century, anything that seemed ancient or mysterious had way more street cred with the public.
Ah, okay. So labeling it from 3 initiates was maybe a clever marketing move. Make it sound more profound, more authentic than just some new ideas by William Atkinson.
Exactly. Sources suggest that was the perception ancient equals valuable. It was likely a strategic way to get his synthesis of ideas taken more seriously by people hungry for that kind of hidden knowledge.
But it wasn't just who wrote it, it was how. He wasn't just like translating old Egyptian texts verbatim.
Not at all. That's the crucial part. He was taking ancient philosophies, things from the Corpus Hermeticum, for sure, but filtering them, reinterpreting them through the lens of his time, early 20th century America.
So mixing it with New Thought, that whole power of the mind thing.
Precisely. New Thought, spiritualism, which was big then, bits of early psychology, even concepts from what they called New Physics. He basically cooked up this blend, codified these 7 Hermetic Principles to fit this modern, more psychological, maybe more accessible spiritual view.
So he was kind of repackaging ancient wisdom for a new audience, making it relevant.
You could say that, recoding it, setting the stage for some huge movements down the line.
And those 7 principles, they're really the absolute core of the Kybalion. The book presents them as these, universal laws governing everything.
Yeah, universal laws that govern creation, the function of the cosmos on all levels. That's how it's framed.
And the goal isn't just intellectual understanding.
Right.
It's practical.
Right. It says they're practical tools on how to live here on Earth successfully while you're on your spiritual journey. The ultimate aim is empowerment. Become the captains of our own destiny. by using these master keys.
Okay, let's break them down. Because like you said, these ideas pop up everywhere in modern spirituality, even if people don't know they come from the Kybalion.
They really do. So principle number 1, mentalism.
The big one. The all is mind. The universe is mental. What does that actually mean day to day?
Well, fundamentally, it flips everything. It says the whole universe, everything you see, touch, experience, it exists inside the mind of God, or the AL, the supreme intelligence.
So we're like thoughts in a cosmic mind.
Essentially, yes. Thoughts, dreams within this divine mind. It implies we're all interconnected, part of this larger mental reality. And the big takeaway is, if reality is mental, then our thoughts aren't just reactions. They're actually helping create our experience.
Whoa, okay. So change your thoughts.
Change your reality, or at least influence it significantly. If we're made of divine thought, the idea is we can use our own minds to get back in tune with that divinity.
That's huge. Okay, next up, correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. We hear that phrase a lot.
We do.
Yeah.
It basically means there are repeating patterns everywhere. The big scale, the macrocosm, mirrors the small scale, the microcosm, and vice versa. Think fractals.
So understanding something small, like how my own mind works,
Can give you clues about how bigger things work, maybe even the universe itself. It's about reasoning from the known to the unknown, seeing the connections. It helps promote balance.
makes sense. Then vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Modern science kind of backs this up, right? Atoms vibrating.
It does, up to a point. Physics agrees matter is energy vibrating. But the Kybalion takes it further. It says everything vibrates: matter, energy, thoughts, emotions, spirit, and the only difference is the frequency.
Higher frequency is more spiritual, lower is more physical.
That's the idea. Dense matter is low vibration, thought, spirit are high vibration. And the really powerful application here, according to the book, is that your personal vibration attracts similar vibrations.
Like attracts like.
Exactly. So keep your vibration high, thinking positive thoughts, feeling good emotions, and you'll attract positive experiences. It claims understanding this principle gives you the scepter of power, real influence over your world.
Okay, following vibration is polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Opposites.
Right. But the key twist is that opposites are actually the same thing, just different degrees on a spectrum. Good, bad, hot, cold, love, hate. They aren't absolute opposites, just two ends of the same stick, like a thermostat.
So the practical use is?
Mental transmutation. You can consciously slide yourself along that spectrum. If you're feeling fear, you can mentally dial it up towards courage because they're on the same continuum. The book says you can learn to polarize yourself at the state you want, controlling your emotions.
Like an internal remote control? I like that.
Kinda, yeah.
Then there's rhythm. Everything flows, out and in, tides, rise and fall. This feels very natural, like cycles in nature.
It is. It applies to everything. Empires rise and fall, mood swing, economies boom and bust. It's the universal pendulum swing, ebb and flow.
So we just have to ride the waves.
Well, yes, but the insight is that by becoming more conscious, more aware, you don't have to be completely swept away by the downswing. You can understand the rhythm, have patience, and maybe even mentally rise above the lowest points of the swing.
Yeah.
Avoid the full backlash, so to speak.
Okay, that leads neatly into cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Everything happens according to law. This sounds a bit like karma.
It's very similar, yeah. But the emphasis in the Kybalion is less about cosmic balancing and more about immediate conscious responsibility. Nothing is random. Your actions now create your future then.
So no accidents.
According to this principle, no. Chance is just law not recognized. The empowering part is realizing you're not just a leaf in the wind. By mastering these principles, you become a cause, consciously creating effects rather than just being pushed around by circumstances.
Taking charge. Okay. And the last one, gender.
Principle of gender. Gender is in everything, masculine and feminine principles. And crucially, it stresses this isn't about physical sex.
Right. It's about energies.
Exactly. The masculine principle, active, logical, projective, outward energy. The feminine principle, receptive, intuitive, creative, inward energy. Everything contains both.
And the goal is balance.
Yes. Seek balance between these energies within yourself, in your projects, in your life. Harmonizing them leads to better decisions, more creativity, more wholeness. It mirrors how the AL itself creates by balancing these energies.
Okay, so those are the 7 principles, powerful stuff. But going back to the origins, how does this book actually fit with real ancient Hermetic philosophy. Is it the same thing?
That's a really important distinction. And the short answer is not exactly. While Atkinson definitely drew inspiration from ancient Hermetic texts like the Corpus Hermeticum, many modern Hermeticists, people who study and practice based on the older texts, see the Kybalion as, well, a bit different.
Different how?
Thinkers like Nicholas Chappell call it dubious as a pure Hermetic text. They argue it's heavily colored by that early 20th century New Thought perspective we talked about.
So less ancient Egypt, more early American positive thinking.
It's a blend, but the emphasis shifts. For instance, the Kybalion tends to focus more on the logos. Maybe think of it as the creative expression or the organizing intelligence within the divine mind rather than the nous, which in classical Hermetica is the ultimate, supreme, transcendent mind itself, the AL. It's a subtle but significant difference in focus.
And Atkinson left some things out too, right?
He definitely did. The older Hermetic texts often have this strand of, well, seeing the physical body and material world as kind of a trap, something to escape, life as imprisonment. You don't really get that in the Kybalion.
Yeah, it feels much more world-affirming.
Exactly. And he conveniently skipped the bits about demons and complex cosmology found in some older texts. His version is cleaner, more psychological maybe.
Which probably made it more appealing to a modern audience. Less dogma, more self-help.
I think that's a huge part of its enduring success. It shifted the focus away from escaping the world to reemerge with some distant god, towards realizing your own inner divinity right here, right now. It embraces this idea of panentheism. God is in everything, but also more than everything. So the goal becomes effectively being human, living successfully on Earth. That resonates, especially in modern witchcraft and New Age circles.
And the law of attraction, that really comes straight from here, doesn't it?
Pretty directly, yes. The Kybalion's take on mental transmutation, combined with the principle of vibration, like attracts like, is basically the blueprint for what later became wildly popularized as the law of attraction by things like The Secret.
Though maybe some traditional Hermeticists would say the Kybalion kind of oversimplified it, focused too much on getting stuff.
That's a common critique, yeah. That it mistakes the means with the end, focusing on manifesting desires rather than the deeper spiritual journey of reuniting with the divine mind.
But regardless of the purist view, its influence is undeniable.
Oh, absolutely massive. You see echoes of these principles everywhere. Science of Mind, Norman Vincent Peale's Power of Positive Thinking, Rhonda Byrne, Doreen Virtue, the Prosperity Gospel Movement, various Black African-centered spiritual groups, modern witches like Laurie Cabot and Christopher Pensack. Its DNA is woven into so much contemporary spirituality.
It's also really interesting how people connect these ideas to quantum physics now.
Yeah, that's a more recent layer. The idea that maybe concepts like the observer effect or quantum entanglement or the underlying vibrational nature of reality, maybe these modern scientific ideas echo some of the Hermetic principles, particularly mentalism and vibration. People like Teresa Bullard explore this, suggesting Hermeticism offers a kind of spiritual framework for understanding the weirder side of physics.
Fascinating overlap. Okay, let's pause for a sec. I hope you are enjoying the topic so far. Please subscribe to the Deep Seek Diaries and like this video. Don't forget you can find us on the major social media platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Linked in the description section are all the resources and discussion today, including books, websites, and so on.
Right, so we've talked about the ideas, the history.
Yeah.
What do actual readers think? Let's look at the Amazon reviews for the Kybalion.
Good idea. And wow, looking across different editions, the ratings are consistently high. Like 4.6, 4.7 stars out of 5, often with thousands of reviews.
Yeah, that's huge. It clearly resonates with a lot of people. The reception is overwhelmingly positive, which definitely tracks with its influence.
So what are people praising? Rateability seems to be a big one. Lots of comments like easy to read, clear language, concise. People seem to find it accessible, despite the deep topics.
Yeah, and very interesting, well made. But beyond just being easy to read, people talk about the impact. You see phrases like life-changing, catalyst for awakening, eye-opening, thought-provoking, again and again.
It sounds like many feel it gives them answers, to those big questions about spirituality, existence, and the universe. Like a guide.
Definitely, and they value the knowledge itself. People mention its immense fund of knowledge, call it a good summary of basic Hermetic truth, even an excellent resource for beginners or serious occult students. Classic and masterpiece come up a lot, too.
Okay, so mostly glowing reviews. But it can't be all positive, right? What are the criticisms? We should give listeners the full picture.
For sure, and there are definitely counterpoints. Some people find the writing style the complete opposite of accessible. They use words like abysmal, pompous, or even impossible to understand, despite how short the book is. One called it terrible form.
Ah, polarizing, you might say?
Applying the principles right there.
Yeah.
Another critique that pops up is a kind of dogmatism. Some feel the book presents Hermetic philosophy as the be-all and end-all, the beginning and end of everything, which they felt was maybe a bit narrow or even a dangerous precedent.
And the authenticity issue we discussed, does that come up in reviews?
It does, especially if you look at discussions on places like the Hermeticism subreddit. People there often point out it's pretty far removed from the classical Hermetica, definitely more new thought than ancient tradition. But interestingly, even those critics often concede it's still a useful text or a good starting point into metaphysics.
So even with criticisms about style or strict authenticity, it still offers value to many.
Seems that way. Oh, and some minor practical things, depending on the edition. People occasionally complain about cover quality or missing features like gold foiled edges, though others praise specific designs. Standard book buying stuff.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, this deep dive into the Kybalion really shows it as this potent framework, a way to understand these big universal laws and maybe gain some personal mastery.
Yeah, whether you see it as unlocking ancient secrets or as a clever modern synthesis of ideas from its time, the principles themselves offer some really profound ways to think about reality and our role in it.
It really is presented as that master key for changing how you experience life, for actively shaping things rather than just reacting.
And if hearing about this has piqued your interest, if you want to explore these ideas firsthand, we definitely encourage you to read the Kybalion yourself. There are tons of editions out there.
Is there one you'd recommend specifically?
Well, for extra context and notes, the Kybalion, the definitive edition, edited by Philip de Slip, it's supposed to be quite good. It digs into the Atkinson background.
Good tip. And if people want to go deeper into the original stuff, the classical Hermetic texts that inspired Atkinson,
then a good place to start might be something like The Way of Hermes, translated by Clement Salomon and others. That gives you a more direct taste of the ancient source material.
Excellent. So lots for people to explore further.
Definitely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Go back to that first principle, mentalism. If the universe really is mental, what's one thought, one belief you're holding on to right now that maybe, just maybe, you could shift this week to create a reality you find a little bit more desirable?
Something to really chew on. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of the Deep Seek Diaries. Please don't forget to check out the linked resources in the description section. Hit the subscribe and like buttons as you head off if you haven't already. Until the next episode, goodbye.